How do you bounce back from offensive performance you guys had last week against another good defense like Stanford has?
It's not too complicated. You got to go back in and watch the tape. Be honest with yourself. What could we as coaches have done better? As players, they got to take ownership too, and how they can be better. And then once you realize that, flush it, get it out of your head, and try to be the best that next day and practice hard.
In the games where Oregon's been the most successful against Stanford's defense, you guys were able to get your speed into space and really abuse them at second, third level. Is that going to be the game plan if you guys get Charles Nelson, get Thunderbird James out of space against these guys?
Sure. That's every game really.
Yeah, every game.
Exactly.
Especially these guys have to do it.
Yeah. We and they do a pretty good job. They've been statistically, I think they're one of the better defenses, not just in the league but in the country. But we try to do that all the time. Because we think we've got some pretty good skilled players.
But with them, is it more of a, because they've always had some speed deficiencies in certain spots where you guys are able to take more advantage of it with them than say a USC?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good in the back end, and their guys run around and play fast and hard. Because they've played against some good offenses, and they've done really well. Done really well about the front seven pressuring the quarterback. I think they're leading the league in sacks. They've done great schematically and just playing hard, not giving up big plays, and so which is going to be a big challenge for us.
Does it feel like the same old Stanford this week as far as his personnel that they have and the way they play on defense?
Yeah, when you play Stanford, they're going to be good on defense. They're a really good football team, but that's definitely their strength is their defense, and they've shown that. I think every week they've played. So it's a big challenge. Now, ever since I've been here, Stanford has always came ready to play on defense.
Over the last 5-6 years, this has been kind of the game that decides the Pac-12 North. Do you feel any difference in this game and the hype surrounding it right now?
Not really. No. It's no matter what game you're playing, you try to block everything else out except that football game and do the best you can to prepare. And we know we've got a great opponent ahead of us, and so we're excited for the challenge. But it's not. Whether the records, once you play a game, that doesn't mean anything. It's all about, hey, how can we try to win this football game?
What is different about the Stanford team than other years?
No, they're good. They've always been good on defense. I think they've got some young players that are playing really well, but they've got a good mix of veterans in there too that have some experience, and like all Stanford teams, they create a lot of problems, and you got to have answers for a lot of different things, and that's why they're good. And we're looking forward to it.
What stands out about Solomon Thomas when you watch film?
Well, a whole bunch of things. He's tremendously talented. He's very athletic, but how hard he plays, the way he gets off on the football, creates a lot of negative plays just by himself, just beating one-on-one matchups, and which is a tribute to him.
Is there anything you guys can do to help Royce get back to being Royce, so to speak?
Hopefully we have some good schemes where we can, get him to the second level. He's had a great week of practice, so I'm excited. I think he's going to have a good game this week. But it's what helps Royce too is can we throw the ball? Everything up front. Are we making the right checks? So it's not just Royce. Sometimes I think when you're watching a game, you focus on that one player, and it's whether it was a no-gain play. There's a lot of other things that go into it, up front wise, and just how we're playing affects how the running game goes.
I know there's no excuses, but with a freshman quarterback and 4 freshman linemen, is it hard to get in that rhythm that you guys are accustomed?
No, it is what it is. That's the thing. I think at times we've played really well, but there's been times we've been very inconsistent. And as coaches, that's what we're working on. How can we be more and more consistent? And it's not just one position. It's whether it's the quarterback, identifying the right thing, which he's wise beyond his years on the stuff that he's doing. Whether it's the offensive line, maybe getting beat on a one-on-one matchup, or a running back not hitting the right hole. It's not just one guy, and that's what as coaches. So we our challenge is, well, how can we make it so everyone's more consistent? And we study that and try to practice that every day.
Do you anticipate that Darren Carrington might have a bigger role this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, so basically we're rotating 3 guys as starters on the outside with Darren, Chuck, and Jalen Brown, and so you just never know going into each game. I think any one of those guys can have a big game. A lot of it depends on them, but also depends on how they play us. You know, and at the end of the day, we're more concerned about winning the football game than any individual one guy. Does he have the capability of making a lot of big plays? Yes. You know, I hope he does.
Given youth up front and at quarterback, you guys know that teams are going to try and maybe mix things up a little bit in blitz packages, and USC did that. But you knew it was coming. You guys prepared for it. Why did Justin feel underprepared last week?
I don't, you know, what I think that when he said that, I heard he said it was more of just a fact that, first of all, we did prepare for blitzes, you know, and that's one thing when you're breaking down an opponent, you look at every single blitz they've done and you practice against it. Now, the one thing that they did do, they blitzed us a little bit more than they had the previous opponents. I think that's what he was referring to, you know, but again, we got to do a good job of handling that, you know, and a lot of those blitzes, we had guys on the right guys, but sometimes they'd beat us on a one-on-one matchup, you know, and that's stuff we just got to get better at.
You anticipate Stanford brings similar attack as far as just...
Well, I mean, that's one of the strengths of their defenses. I think they're leading the league in sacks, and a lot of it's just 4-man pressure. They do a great job with twists and picks, and have a great pressure backer. So, again, that's what we're, you know, we study all their blitzes and try to put them through all their different type of plays, and just practice, you know, try to obviously learn from what we didn't do well last week, and it'll be a good challenge for us. But yeah, that's going to be a good challenge.
Right on. Thank you.
No problem.